Thank you for coming. The Life Spending Freedom has filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of Young Americans Foundation, Ben Shapiro, Mark Kahandi, CSULA Young Americans for Freedom against California State University, and CSULA professors Melina Abdullah, Robert Weed, Luz Borja Montalvo, Talia May Butcher, regarding attempts by the university to censor, restrict, and inhibit student speech and faculty members' participation in organization, in protesting and blocking access to the Young Americans for Freedom Free Speech event on February 25th, 2016. Over to my right are three exhibits. One is a poster promoting the event. This is a Facebook post on the Young Americans for Freedom Facebook page describing some of the threats that were levied against them from a college professor there. And then this is an example of the posters put up by groups attempting to shut the event down. In fact, it references shutting the student union down entirely in a takeover. That was where the event was held, in the student union building, and in fact, that's exactly what occurred. Today we'll have speaking Tyson Langhofer, Senior Counsel for Life Spending Freedom, Amy Lutz with Young Americans Foundation, Mark Kahandi, President of CSULA Young Americans for Freedom, and Ben Shapiro, Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Wire and host of the Ben Shapiro Show. First up will be Tyson Langhofer.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. My name is Tyson Langhofer, Senior Counsel for Life Spending Freedom and attorneys for Young Americans Foundation, CSULA, Young Americans for Freedom, Ben Shapiro, and Mark Kahandi, a student at California State University, Los Angeles. Public universities should be a place where ideas are freely shared. They should promote and celebrate free speech, not silence it through administrative filibuster, unconstitutional policies, intimidation, and threats of violence. Yet that is exactly what happened to our clients when they tried to hold, of all things, a free speech event. In the wake of campus unrest over diversity and free speech earlier this year, the student group, Young Americans for Freedom at CSULA, reserved space in the Student Union Theater to host well-known media personality Ben Shapiro on February 25th, 2016, to give a talk entitled, "When Diversity Becomes a Problem." Soon after, protesters, including a CSULA professor, began posting angry and threatening comments on the event's Facebook page. The university then told the students that they would be required to pay $621.50 for security because Mr. Shapiro's views and topics are controversial. This type of arbitrary hurdle put in front of students to suppress their First Amendment freedoms is unconstitutional. 3 days before the event was to occur, the president of CSULA, William Covino, sent an email to YAF canceling the free speech event, suggesting that Mr. Shapiro come back at a later date to be part of a group of speakers with different views on diversity. This condition has never been placed on other groups that take extremely controversial liberal viewpoints, and again, was a burden on our clients' First Amendment freedoms and is unconstitutional. YAF and Mr. Shapiro and Young Americans Foundation refused to cancel the event. During the run-up to the event, at least 4 CSULA professors were actively engaged in a variety of attempts to intimidate and threaten YAF students into canceling the free speech event, and incited other professors and students to join in. One professor organized a student union takeover to stop YAF's free speech event. Another professor called YAF supporters white supremacists and compared them to Hitler. He also challenged the students to a fight on 2 different occasions on social media. On the day of the event, several professors actively participated in the attempt to shut down YAF's event by physically blocking access to the doors, preventing students from being able to attend the event. These professors interfered with the First Amendment rights of the YAF students by doing whatever they could to stop the free speech event and prevent them from being able to listen to Mr. Shapiro's message. These actions are not just reprehensible, particularly in an environment designed for the free exchange of ideas, they are also illegal. In California, anyone interfering or inciting others to interfere with the constitutional freedom of another person is personally liable and may be held sued for damages and attorney's fees. The day of the event, YAF students arrived to find activists camped out in front of the student union. They discovered that the campus was blanketed with flyers urging students to participate in a Power to the People rally and take over of the student union to prevent Shapiro from being able to deliver his speech. Just an hour before the event, President Covino issued a press release, again announcing his opposition to Mr. Shapiro's views, but also allowing the event to proceed. He promised to make every effort to ensure a climate of safety and security. This did not happen. Students hoping to attend the event arrived to find hundreds of activists in and around the venue where the free speech event was to be held, their arms locked together to prevent entry to the auditorium. When a few were able to get in the back entry, activists moved to block those doors as well, effectively trapping over 100 students and Mr. Shapiro inside the auditorium, and preventing the same number of students from being able to attend the event. Meanwhile, the campus police officers charged with ensuring a climate of safety and security stood by and did nothing, as they were instructed to do by President Covino. After Mr. Shapiro delivered his speech, students inside the auditorium were advised by campus security that their lives would be in danger if they tried to leave the building. By blocking access to the doors, the protesters were violating numerous California laws and regulations and university policies, including the free expression policy, which prohibits blocking access to the university buildings and materially disrupting campus events. Young Americans for Freedom were following all the policies of the CSULA, yet they were unfairly discriminated against because of their views. In today's lawsuit, Young Americans Foundation, Young Americans for Freedom, Ben Shapiro, and Mark Kahandi, a California State University Los Angeles student, are suing CSULA administrators and professors for violating their constitutional rights and interfering with their lawful free speech event. The cornerstone of higher education is the ability to participate in the marketplace of ideas on campus. Instead, these students and Mr. Shapiro encounter systematic and violent opposition to a free speech event promoting diversity of opinion. If college administrators and professors discriminate against points of view they don't like, they violate both the First Amendment and a core purpose behind their own existence. This type of viewpoint discrimination cannot and will not stand. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amy Lewis. I'm a program officer for Young Americans Foundation. Young Americans Foundation is the largest youth outreach organization in the conservative movement. We introduce young people to conservative ideas no longer taught and increasingly no longer tolerated in schools. Mark and Honda attended 2 YAF conferences with conservative movement leaders and students from all around the country. Mark was inspired to start a YAF chapter on his campus because he wanted his peers to benefit by learning conservative ideas suppressed by California State University's faculty and administration. We helped Mark build his YAF chapter and arranged to have Ben Shapiro speak at his free speech event. At Young Americans Foundation, we are accustomed to seeing school administrators attempt to silence our students' conservative speech. But even we were shocked by President Covino's blatant admission of his viewpoint discrimination. Students have a constitutionally protected right to engage in free speech that school administrators don't like. The cornerstone of higher education is the ability of students to participate in the marketplace of ideas on campus. This marketplace depends on free and vigorous debate and the ability to offer diverse and competing views. Universities are supposed to serve as institutions of higher learning, not indoctrination. Colleges should be a place where ideas are freely shared, not silenced through intimidation and threats of violence. The Constitution should be the only permission slip students need to exercise their right to free speech. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Kahandi. I'm a student at California State University, Los Angeles. I love America and the constitutional freedom that it provides to all Americans. The freedom to believe, the freedom for peaceful assembly, and the freedom to speak. When I started school at CSULA, I was excited to practice all of these freedoms. I thought, what better place to experience those freedoms than on a college campus? That's one of the reasons I started the Young Americans Freedom Club. Universities are supposed to be a marketplace of ideas, and this was my opportunity to take part in that. When we invited Ben Shapiro to speak on campus, along with the help of Young Americans Foundation, we thought it would be a good way to bring conservatives together. because honestly, there are many of us at CSULA. And what better topic than diversity, true diversity, in the form of different kinds of thoughts and speech. I have to tell you, I was surprised when the university told us that we would have to pay a security fee because Mr. Shapiro's views were controversial. I was shocked when President Colvino told us the event was canceled for the same reason. In the weeks leading up to the event, members of YAF were threatened by CSULA professors and the anti-speech activists that they were encouraging. I was afraid to be seen putting up posters promoting the event for a fear of what the activists would do if they saw it. I watched the campus police stand by and do nothing as the activists blocked access and shut down our event. I was told my life could be in danger if I tried to leave the building after the event. I couldn't believe that this was happening in America. What happened to the freedoms so many fought and died to establish and protect? I saw that it was my time to stand up for freedom. That is why I have chosen to sue those who sought to rob us of our freedoms through unconstitutional police policies, abuse of power, intimidation, and threats of violence. I want to make sure that this never happens again to any students at CSULA. Colleges and universities are meant to be a place where people can freely exchange diverse viewpoints. I hope, we hope, that this lawsuit will return CSULA to a place that welcomes everybody, where everyone is free to be who they are, no matter where they come from, no matter what they believe, no matter what they think. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben Shapiro. Free speech on college campuses, particularly publicly sponsored campuses, it's not merely a necessity, it's a right. But that right is being quashed all across the country by administrators who are significantly more intent on indoctrinating students and eliminating dissent than giving students the opportunity to hear different ideas and reach their own conclusions about those ideas. It's time for that to stop. And that's our goal today, to stop administrators from using taxpayer dollars to shut down free debate, prevent the dissemination of new ideas, and kowtow to the anti-speech bullies who think they own the campuses that we pay for. I pay taxes in this state. I help sponsor the tuition of the students who attend this university. I help pay the salaries of the administrators and the professors. And yet, when conservative students on this campus merely wanted to hold an event at which I would speak basic conservative ideas, the administration here first attempted to charge conservative students extra money. When that failed, they tried to shut me down. When that failed, they ordered their police force to allow thug protesters and agitators to prevent access to the student-sponsored event. The police, at the behest of this administration, did nothing as these ideological fascists blocked entrances and exits, physically assaulted people who wanted to enter, made threats, and pulled the fire alarm. Professors at this university helped to organize and cheer all of this on. This is unacceptable. This is un-American. It's cowardly. It's behavior more reminiscent of third world countries than it is of the United States. And that's why we're taking Cal State Los Angeles to court. Students can't be educated if they never hear different ideas. That's just indoctrination. Their feelings are significantly less important than liberty in the pursuit of knowledge. Anything less than that is totalitarianism. Free speech on state-sponsored campuses must be protected, and if the university refuses to protect free speech, we'll fight to restore it. We will fight to restore freedom of association and freedom of assembly. Too many Americans fought and died for those rights to hand them over to a bunch of crybaby snowflake fascists and their weak-kneed leftist enablers paid for by our taxpayer dollars. Free speech needs a safe space, and so we're fighting to preserve and create that safe space. It's called America, and if we don't fight for it now, nobody will. Thanks so much.
We have Tyson Langhoffer with Alliance Defending Freedom, who is available for questions and comments.
Counsel, when was the lawsuit filed?
Lawsuit was filed this morning.
This morning? Okay. Have you had any contact with the folks at the university as far as their response to this lawsuit?
Not this time.
Not this time. If you can just go over, just in Cliff Note version, the actual aspects of the lawsuit. What are you going after?
Sure, absolutely. So the lawsuit, first of all, challenges the security fee policy, this policy that the university attempted to impose security fees on our student group. And they do so when they deem this speech as controversial, they impose security fees on that. And we're challenging that policy because it's still on books, and we believe that it's going to be applied against our clients as they continue on. And so we're challenging that security fee policy as unconstitutional under the First and the 14th Amendments. We are also bringing claims under the First and 14th Amendment for the failure to essentially enforce university policies. These university policies are in place to protect the freedom of speech. There's actually a great policy in place on the university campus which protects the rights of students to speech, and it requires the university to enforce those policies in a fair manner. And they did not enforce those policies, and so we're challenging them, their First Amendment claims for the failure to enforce the policies and to shut down our client's speech. We've also brought claims against 4 professors for their roles in shutting down the event, for the protesters that stood in front of the doors and stopped students from being able to enter, and for blocking Mark Handing and others into the auditorium upon the end of the event. They were locked in that auditorium for over 15 minutes, and they were told that if they left, their lives would be in danger. So those are the claims that we're bringing against the defendants.
This security policy with a charge of like over $600, is CSULA telling you that this is a standard security policy for anyone who wants to put on an event of free speech?
Absolutely not. The university applies it in a viewpoint discriminatory manner. They only apply these fees if in their discretion they believe that this speech is controversial. And in their subjective opinion, they required our group to pay security fees, or attempted to require us to do that, while allowing others that also may be speaking controversial views to not pay those security fees.
I apologize if some of these follow-up questions are a little bit elementary. I wasn't there for the story when it broke. Talk to me about these so-called controversial topics of discussion that CSULA is claiming that the Young Americans of Freedom are supposedly sounding off.
The topic that Mr. Shapiro was going to speak on was diversity of opinion, was the issue of the fact that on university campuses today, anyone that wants to bring in a conservative ideology, a different view, they're shut down. And that's the issue that they want to shut down. They didn't want Mr. Shapiro to talk about the fact that conservatives on campus today are unable to participate in what is supposed to be the marketplace of ideas. And so that's the controversy, was the bringing on a different viewpoint, as Mr. Shapiro said, bringing on a viewpoint that expresses a conservative view on college campuses.
How long has the Young Americans of Freedom been around on Cal State LA?
I believe that this is the first year that it's been around.
Any other questions?
What's next? What's the next step? You file the lawsuit. What comes next?
The defendants will be served with a lawsuit, and then they'll have a certain amount of time where they can respond to the lawsuit, and then we'll know what their stance is on the claims we made.
And just based off of your experience and your professional opinion, what do you think the response is going to be?
It varies. The defendant's response. We hope that they'll come to the table and acknowledge that the policies are unconstitutional and open up Cal State LA to be a marketplace of ideas for the students like Mark Handing and the other YAF members.
Last question. After the event obviously went sideways and the campus had cleared out and everybody went home, what kind of dialogue was expressed between members of the Young Americans of Freedom for Cal State LA and the campus itself? I mean, did they give any type of explanation as to why the tactics or lack of tactics were implemented during this rally?
Unfortunately, no, and the university actually issued a response saying something along the lines of, we're going to have to look closer at the events that we allow to come on this campus, as opposed to saying, we need to look and make sure that this doesn't happen again. They actually talked about having the need to suppress speech more. So that's one of the reasons we need to bring this, that we're bringing this lawsuit, to make sure that this is an open place for everybody to bring their opinions and allow the students to make their decision.
To your knowledge, how many conservative speakers have ever spoken at the university?
Based upon some research that my client's done and some others we've talked to, they're not aware of any other